everyone. It's wonderful to see all of your smiling faces. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the fall premiere of AnitaB.org's Elevating Conversation series. I'm Dr. Kai Two Feathers Orton. I'm the Anita B. Fellow in Residence, and I'll be your host. Today's discussion will be centered around creating an infrastructure for inclusive innovation, and we'll hear from a pair of dynamic leaders in government and tech. At the end of the conversation, we'll have a Q&A. So if you have questions for our panelists, please use the Q&A feature, and we'll try to get as many of your questions as possible. Now, we want this to be a lively discussion, so let us know when where you're tuning in from in the chat. Some of you have already done that. Throughout today's conversation, we encourage you to engage with your fellow community members also in the chat. AnitaB.org team members will also be active in the chat, and they'll be replying to your comments and sharing additional resources. If anything resonates with you today, feel free to use the hashtag AnitaBElevates to share those brilliant gems on social media. Before we get started, here's an important accessibility tip. Automated captioning is available for this session. To turn on this feature, please use the closed captioning icon located at the bottom of your Zoom screen and select Show Subtitles. And with that, please join me in welcoming AnitaB.org's President and CEO, Brenda Darden-Wilkerson. Brenda, take it away.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Kai, and welcome to today's Fall 2021 premiere of AnitaB.org's Elevating Conversations. I'm so excited to get started again. Before we get into today's talk, I'd like to thank each and every person that attended the virtual Grace Hopper celebration last month. My heart is still full from the soul food that was served at VGHC 21. I'm so proud that we were able to reach nearly 30,000 women and non-binary technologists and allies and impact their careers in such a meaningful and positive way. If you were unable to attend this year, you can still experience the magic of GHC when you become a premium member of AnitaB.org. In addition to gaining access to VGHC content year-round, you'll have access to mentorship, career coaching, on-demand programming, and so much more. Now, we created the Elevating the Conversation series as a forum to discuss how women and non-binary technologists can navigate through challenges and opportunities in both the tech ecosystem and the world. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by two distinguished panelists who will be discussing how government and industry can work together to create an infrastructure for inclusive innovation. First, we have United States Secretary of Commerce, Gina M. Raimondo. Gina M. Raimondo serves as the 40th U.S. Secretary of Commerce and was sworn in by Vice President Kamala Harris on March 3rd, 2021. As Secretary of Commerce, she is focused on a simple but vital mission to spur good-paying jobs, empower entrepreneurs to innovate and grow, and help American workers and businesses compete. Secretary Raimondo was formerly the 75th governor of Rhode Island and is its first woman governor. Secretary Raimondo, it's truly an honor to have you here with us today. And I know you have a major announcement that you'd like to share, so I'll pass the mic over to you now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love your enthusiasm, and it's really very special for me to be here with all of you guys. I'm also happy and excited to be here, quite frankly, with one of my role models, Safra Catz, CEO of Oracle. Safra is a pioneer and has cleared the way for a lot of us to be leaders. She is and has been for a long time one of the nation's leading figures in technology and on promoting the inclusion of women and underrepresented groups in our technology sector. And I love something Safra said, which has stuck with me: homogeneity is the enemy of innovation. That's exactly right. You know, prior to getting into government, I was an entrepreneur, I was a tech investor, and I know that to be true. And we desperately need more women, more people of color, more underrepresented groups in our innovation economy. I would say, quite frankly, we can't afford not to tap into their talent, because we need every bit of talent and entrepreneurship and innovation on the field right now. And we cannot limit ourselves to a certain kind or color of American. So that commitment to inclusion is at the heart of everything I do and at the heart of what we do here at the Department of Commerce. And that's why I'm super excited to chair the new Council for Inclusive Innovation, which we are calling CI Squared in the spirit of being techies ourselves. And so the council is going to bring together leaders like Safra and 27 other members from private and public sectors to develop new initiatives that increase diversity in science, technology, engineering, invention, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And under guidance from the US Patent and Trademark Office, which is a part of the Department of Commerce, the council has already started dozens of programs to achieve that goal. And we're already seeing the fruits of their labor. A recent Harvard study found that, quote, if women, minorities, and children from low-income families were to invent at the same rate as white men from higher income families, there would be 4 times as many inventors in America as there are today. I personally believe that's an understatement, but just think about that, 4 times as many. So as we recover from the pandemic, right now is the time to tap into that potential, right now. We all have a role to play to ensure that the next generation of inventors, don't give up on their dreams of innovation just because of the zip code they were born into, the color of their skin, or they lacked access to opportunity. We have to demystify tech and innovation and design a more inclusive, accessible blueprint for aspiring innovators, just like so many here in the Anita B community. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Brenda. I'm so excited to be here and to be in this discussion.
I'm so proud proud of you, proud to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time. And you've already helped me to start introducing our other guest, Safra Catz, the CEO of Oracle Corporation, is also here with us. And so proud of you too, to be surrounded by amazing women doing amazing things that you're doing. And I know our audience is too. So just a brief intro for Safra. Has served as CEO of Oracle Corporation since 2014 and a member of the company's board of directors since 2001. She previously served as president of Oracle and has also served as the company's chief financial officer. Prior to becoming named president, Catz held various other positions since starting at Oracle in 1999. She currently serves as a director of the Walt Disney Company and previously served as director of HSBC Holdings PLC. Wow, and there's so much more for both of you. Just thank you so much for being here. So proud. So welcome and thank you both for taking time to share your wisdom with our audience. So Safra, I want to start with you. I'd like to start today's discussion around the fact that you're one of the few women in the executive ranks at the helm of a multinational technology company. What was the impetus that propelled you into becoming the innovator that you are today?
Well, first, let me thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Anita B. And really thank you to actually my hero, Gina, or Secretary Raimondo, who is such a true executive, was a wonderful entrepreneur, an executive of the state, and now makes me so optimistic about the opportunities we have going forward in this country. And she is absolutely spot on about inclusion and its importance in innovation. And our country absolutely needs it right now. This is a very, very important time. And I think we have it in us to do it. So thank you, Secretary, for really spearheading this and making inclusion a major, major point. I will tell you, in answering your question, I was often the only girl in almost every one of my classes. Whether they were advanced mathematics or computer programming, which, by the way, just to really date me here, were mainframes in those days, where the paper Oh, it was something between punch cards that I held up with elastic bands and ran in the middle of the night so that you could actually run a program without waiting for hours, or these terminals where the paper would pop out the back and you press buttons in these giant computer rooms. So I will tell you that even doing that, I was amazed in college. And when I was in law school, PCs came out. And I remember thinking, I went to Wall Street, and of course, it was the 80s, and everyone was doing really cool leverage buyouts. And I told my bosses, who must have thought I was nuts, I said to them, this software thing's gonna be big. And they absolutely could tell I was a nut and decided, because my parents were both teachers. My dad is a physicist. My mom was a speech therapist. They were both children during the Holocaust. When they came to the United States, still finishing education, all sorts of things. They really gave me courage, because imagine, what did I have to lose? And so my firm actually said, okay, lady, they gave me a phone that was the size of a purse and a laptop that I would wheel because it was a suitcase, right? And they said, go to California. And I think they thought I'd never come back. And one of the first deals I did, it was actually the second deal I did, was Oracle Corporation in the mid 80s. And from there, and what I learned is innovation's important, really important, but so is having the capital to move it forward. And many, many good ideas fell down because the barriers to entry were too high and there wasn't enough capital to get behind those ideas. And so this is, for me, bringing those things together. Many of the software companies that have come and go over the years, I got to work with, and I've just loved it, loved new things like AI and machine learning now. So you always think, okay, the last things is found. No, more coming, and at a faster rate.
That's right. And that's exciting. And, everything that you said, total gold, and stories are so important. Thank you so much for sharing yours and for all that you have done. Madam Secretary, I want to turn to you now. Give us some ideas about how we can make sure we are developing young talent so that there are more Safras and more Madam Secretaries such as yourself in the years to come. And what can we do to reach, educate, and create opportunities for inventors at all stages of life?
Yes, thank you. So first, I think we need to start young, exposing girls, people of color, people in every community to math, to science, to technology. It's much too late if you wait till high school or college. When I was the governor in Rhode Island, I started a program called CS4RI, and we became the first state in the country to teach computer science in every public school, in every grade, starting in kindergarten. And not surprisingly, it was, lower income, inner city, majority minority communities that we saw the biggest bumps in achievement, because these kids are smart and talented and want to learn. They needed to be exposed. So I think it's important to focus on exposure early. Secondly, by the way, I think events like this are really, really very important. There's a built-in support system and mentoring system for white guys. So, that old adage, you can't be what you can't see. Events of this kind, mentoring opportunities, I think really do matter. I think also we have to be real about the obstacles and understand the obstacles. And here at what I'm announcing today, the Council for Inclusive Innovation, we want to develop a comprehensive national strategy to increase participation in the innovation ecosystem. And And as part of that strategy, to make sure it's comprehensive and kind of real about the obstacles, we're focusing on the 4 specific parts of an innovator's journey: creating innovators, practicing innovation, realizing innovation, and measuring and monitoring innovation. And then at each phase, figuring out what are the obstacles, explore opportunities for improvement, and how aspiring innovators can transition to the next phase. And as Safra said, a huge obstacle is capital, especially that earliest stage of capital. So in any event, I think I suppose I would say that there's no magic wand. We have to have a holistic strategy, target the obstacles, reduce the obstacles, and as I said, I think get to every nook and cranny of America and start as young as possible.
So obviously, I totally agree with everything that's being said here. So true. And I want to kind of follow up on that with a question about helping innovators. So we heard that it was recently announced that Marion Croak and the late Patricia Bath will be the first 2 Black women inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame since it was founded nearly 50 years ago. The late Patricia Bath is also the first Black woman to receive a medical patent for her invention, laser phaco, a surgical device and technique used to remove cataracts. Marion Croak, of course, has many patents, and she created VOIP, which is enabling us to have this very conversation today. So, Madam Secretary, I would love to hear how we can better support women, especially women of color and Black women, in the innovation ecosystem. What strategies are you prioritizing as the chair of the Council for Inclusive Innovation to ensure that Croak and Bath are the first, but of course not the last, as coined by Vice President Harris?
Yeah, by the way, that is so exciting, the announcement that you just reviewed, because for far too long, the accomplishments of women and women of color, frankly, in every field, but especially in this field, have just been overlooked. So highlighting that matters. Listen, I would say we all have to realize the fact that girls and young Black girls, girls of color, are just as smart, just as capable, just as hungry as anyone else. It's not that they lack the talent or desire or capability to become inventors or engineers or entrepreneurs. It's that we're letting them down as a society by not providing the education, access to broadband, exposure, training, resources that will allow them to develop their potential. And again, I saw this as governor in my state. It is heartbreaking to see, in my state, it was an urban state, go into a, all Black, urban, poor high school. Man, are these kids smart and they want to learn. The school is literally falling apart. It probably doesn't have broadband. The students don't have computers. They're not going to become innovators, which is a shame because we all lose out. So I think, as I said before, there are a number of things that we can do. We can mentor programs, internship programs, incorporate this kind of STEM curriculum into every public school. It's important that it goes into public schools, in every public school. All of these things will make a difference. And if applied consistently across the entire system, we will start to see changes, and companies as well. When I talk to companies every day, it's really not okay to say that you care about equity, but you aren't hiring people that look like America. Well, then you have to try harder. You have to be looking in different places. You have to be developing a pipeline. And if that's what it means to be, committed to equity.
Totally agree. Again, this is, we're in church as far as I'm concerned here with all the things that we're sharing. So thank you so much for all of that. And Safra, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about, what the pathway looks like for inviting more women to participate in the patent system. How should the tech industry be contributing to the creation of a truly inclusive innovation ecosystem?
Well, I totally agree with the secretary. It all starts with education. There's not any way to make up for the fact that many girls and people of color stop following the math science route at sixth grade. And the trick is, if we have to include them and make it exciting, but not just talk about it. I will tell you, additionally, we've been working in this area at Oracle and through our educational foundation for over 2 decades. In fact, we were the first company to have a joint venture with the historically Black colleges and universities over 2 decades ago, when no one thought that was fashionable things to do. We brought in kids from the universities, but we also brought, even though we don't make computers, we make software, we brought computers to elementary schools. We had programs to educate remotely, which was an unusual way to do it for years. And you know what? We finally built our own high school on our corporate campus. And it's not a private school. It's the first public high school. By the way, my employees have no greater chance of getting in it. And what they do get is an opportunity to volunteer and teach young ladies and young men. But we had classes just for young ladies at one point because we didn't want to let them get pushed out. And we had so many young girls who we'd ask them, how do you feel about programming? You know, if you were to rate yourself 0 to 10, where are you? This is before the class. They'd say 0, but I'm willing to try it. And my employees would, as part of their volunteer hours, which we give as part of being an Oracle employee, you get to volunteer and use your time any way you want. These same little girls, 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, would say they're a 10 at the end. And I would love, by the way, I'd love to show you, Secretary, and all of you, the school. It's called DTech High School on our campus in Redwood Shores, California. And by the way, guess what we do with these young ladies? They invent things and we help them through the patent system. They had no idea this was a thing. And by the time they're out, we have patents granted. And I saw some of my team, some of my colleagues are actually on this webcast. Let me thank them for helping these young ladies and also young boys really innovate and create things. You would be amazed. And I hope other tech companies, they may not want to build a high school on that valuable property we did, because it was amazing. It improved our entire, but they can participate in these same types of programs, volunteer, money, ideas. So anyway, there's lots to do. And the truth is, everybody should do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, unfortunately, we're out of time. I'm getting the hook, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and put myself out on the limb and ask if I reach out to you in the future, if you'd come back, because I'm sure that our audience would love to hear more. And I would love to give just a moment for Q&A, because we promised to make sure that we can at least get one question answered. So I'm going to turn it, first of all, thank you. And I'm going to turn it back over to Kai. Kai, take it away.
So I'd love to thank our panelists, Secretary Raimondo and Ms. Katz. It's just been delightful to hear from you. We've come a long way from the history of innovation, but one thing is certain is that our history with innovation seems bright, but we still do not run out of motivations to innovate for accessibility, for inclusion. And I personally believe there's no such thing as an underrepresented group. I think that there is a history of underserved. And I think you've both touched on these points. And so I'd like to thank you for your illuminating comments. We have some questions from the audience. One of our viewers has asked Secretary Raimondo, the first question is actually for you. How will the council that you spoke of help women who are already working in tech fields expand their opportunities?
Yeah, thank you. So if you're already working in a tech field, there's a number of things that we're going to be looking at. As I said, one of the areas we're going to be focusing on is access to capital. So, if you're already working in a tech field, you might want to start your own business. And a barrier to that is capital. How do you go about it? What are the pools? How to think about it? So we're going to have a focus on that. We're also going to have a focus on continued job training, career training. If you're already in a tech field, I think that's great. Maybe you want a promotion or a bigger job or a different job or changing tech, and that's incredibly important. So we'll also be looking at that. And then something that Safra touched on is another area we'll be looking at, which is in the patent system, the IP system, the whole kind of patent community is shockingly homogenous. And so we want to work hard to figure out how to make our the patent system, our own USPTO, the patent bar much more accessible to everybody. And that would certainly be a benefit to folks who are already in tech, who might want to patent their own work, or, as I said before, go be an innovator or an entrepreneur.
Empowered entrepreneurship and inventorship. I love it. The last question, Safra, is for you. We always hear advice about women leaning in to advance their careers, but what are some of the most effective ways that you see in which companies can nurture existing talent to cultivate high-performing teams and leaders?
Well, what we try to do is have mentorship capabilities also, because sometimes no matter how much you try, sometimes you need someone to help you just get past that step. You just have to have someone to spend the time with you that is in a position to be helpful. And it is true, historically, it's been white men because they've been in charge a long time. And I will tell you, they helped me over the years. And but I think that that's really important. I have many senior women and people of color in my management team now, and what I see is they are always happy to help. And I have a saying that when I teach my class at Stanford, at the end I give them one piece of advice: if you don't ask, you don't get. So ask for help. Ask for help from someone. Your worst they could say is no. So that's my advice.
Absolutely. Ask the questions. Also ask for coffee. You never know what gems of advice you're going to get. I think that's all the time that we have right now. So I want to turn the conversation back over to Brenda to close us out. Thank you both. Thank you everyone in the audience. It's just been a stimulating and illuminating conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Thank you so much. And it's been amazing. I know you had as much time out there, as good a time as I did. I'm so grateful to Secretary Raimondo and Safra Catz for participating in today's discussion. And we hope that this discussion has inspired you to participate in the innovation ecosystem. Now, be sure to tune in tomorrow, October 28th at 12 p.m. PT, 3 p.m. ET, for the next Elevating Conversations webinar. We'll be discussing approaches to inclusive engineering of AR and VR products. I'm Brenda Darden Wilkerson, President and CEO of AnitaB.org, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Bye.